actually, I know we're here at an application security conference, and I'm a digital forensics person, but we see a lot of like the emerging techniques, tactics, and procedures that the threat actors use, and specifically how they're abusing parts of M365 that are just built in. So like the tools that they are leveraging to commit crime, like mostly wire fraud. So go through my introduction, we'll talk about the current trends, and then I'm not going to talk about the inbox, right? We know threat actors make inbox rules and do forwarding and things like that. Everybody knows that with BEC. So I'm going to talk about the weird things we see that aren't in the inbox, but are in the M365 environment, that if you don't live in this day in and day out, you may not be aware of or think about. So again, about me, this is my favorite picture of myself that's not a picture of me. My buddy made it with AI, and I love that the Excel spreadsheet is on the wrong side. I mean, because like there are days where it definitely feels like I need to use both sides of my monitor. So yes, I've been doing email forensics for about 3 years. I recently added a new hat as the global head of BEC forensics for CFC response. Basically aligning our processes across the 3 regions. We have offices in Australia and the UK as well. And then we have a lot of work. Last year we had 180 individual cases come in. This year we've already beat that, and we've still got like a quarter of the year left to go. So the attacks are only increasing and at an increasing rate. Also, I'm a midlife career changer. Prior to this, I've worked in television and film. I ran a farmer's market, been a mom. Well, I'm still a mom. And when I have free time, I like to garden and knit, and I've recently gotten into building an electrified dollhouse. But anyway, okay, so that's enough about me. So let's talk about BECs in general. They're super expensive, y'all. We get these small businesses, they've lost $500,000, $1 million. I think we've had a $10 million case. And some of these companies suddenly cannot make payroll, or they are having to put major purchases on hold. We've seen school districts lose so much money they can't buy buses, you know? So like there is a very real cost, not just to like a business like in the spreadsheet sense, but in the actual services a business can provide both to its employees and to the populations that it serves. So TTPs, they change really quickly. In the 3 years that I've been here, I feel like every 6 months we're readjusting what we're looking for. When I first started, I was told when I was looking for a phishing email for root cause, look back 3, 4, maybe even 5 days to find that initial email. Now it's like within 3 minutes that we can find that initial. That is how fast they can get in now. It's faster than a lot of tools can even detect, respond, and remediate before the threat actor's in there and has started causing harm. Also, when I started, we would get like maybe 1 or 2 Google Workspaces a year, and they were usually not compromised. Now we get probably 4 or 5 a month, and they're always compromised. So the threat actors have moved out of M365 and are leveraging Google Workspace as well. It's not the focus of the talk, but I think it's an interesting tidbit. MFA bypass is really, really common. Almost every case we have now, MFA has been bypassed by the threat actors through like a reverse proxy or a phishing as a service kit. So every day, multiple times a day, sometimes I'm like, everyone's like, but MFA was on. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's not what it used to be. It's important, but it's not the only measure of defense. So that's what my next point, there's no perfect defense. You need to use a defense in depth strategy. And users are the weakest link. We're all only human, right? We're busy. BECs, they're using technology to compromise people, but scammers have been scamming people for forever, right? And so they have a very good understanding of the psychology behind it, and that's why phishing emails a lot of times come out on a Friday in the afternoon or right before a known holiday break. Or we will be so busy in January and February because over the holidays there's a huge uptick in phishing activity because they're preying on people's anxiety, sense of urgency. We all just want to get stuff done. They know people are out of office and covering for each other, so it's much easier to get somebody to click something malicious when people are scrambled, right? It's just human nature. So, and then you can see here on the chart, phishing is like the biggest crime. But it is also, because it is so big, it's really common, and people are just like, yeah, phishing, whatever, I have to take those trainings, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, quick little game, catch the fish. I had to redact some of this. These are real things that I have seen. So the first one says A on it. It just says, Tyler invited you to view the file proposal PDF on Dropbox. And then if you look down there at the bottom, it says Dropbox for mobile, Dropbox for desktop. They've got the logos. The second one also says Dropbox in the sender email, GDR contract, here's a copy of your documents for your signature. You need to download them and sign. You can see down at the bottom it says use as share file. And then the third one, SharePoint, it's been shared with you, and it's an Excel spreadsheet with your bonus structure in it, and you can see the Microsoft logo at the bottom. So, which one of these is a phishing email? Yes, all of them. They're all, I kind of led you to that. But yes, they are all phishing emails, but they all look good enough, right? Especially if it's coming from a trusted contact. These share file ones, they really do come from SharePoint. Like the user SharePoint gets compromised and then they share it out. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But or they have something kind of juicy in it, like the bonus, or shoot, I am supposed to sign a contract sometime this week. Is this it? Like people, it's vague enough, and people, they target the right users so that they're like, yeah, I do look at agreements all day, or requests for signatures or whatever. So Microsoft is the most abused brand in the world. This is from Proofpoint's 2024 State of the Fish. I'm curious to see when the 2025 numbers come out, how this will shift, and if we see more of Google involved. But it's a widely used tool. It's really easy then to abuse, because who's going to suspect your tool, right? Okay, so first thing that I think is really cool beyond the inbox is the way they abuse Microsoft Teams. So you can see here, the user got this message in the chat, the long, narrow one, and it's like, hey, I'm with Michael Page, reaching out, I'm a recruiter, I've got this great opportunity for you. A recruiter reaching out to you over Teams to your work email. Ooh, they must want you really bad, right? They're so excited. They stalked you and they Teamsed you at work about leaving your job. So that user was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna talk to this person. And they got this email, they clicked into that additional materials thing on OneDrive. And then of course it's OneDrive, so you gotta log in, right, to access your materials. Oh wait, it was a credential harvesting page. And then that user was compromised that way. So again, kind of preying on people's psychology, right? Like, man, I'm having a rough day at work, and oh my gosh, how exciting. Somebody has maybe got a better opportunity. It's like getting flirted with, right? And so you go through, and then they get caught. The other one, so the second one, the horizontal one, this user had been receiving a whole lot of spam lately, and so I don't have that part in the screen, but in the investigation, we could see they were kind of getting like spam bombed a few days before they received this Teams message from Help Desk. And it's coming from a .on Microsoft domain. And they reached out to them and they were like, hey, we're Help Desk. We need to get on your computer and help fix some things. And like, have you been noticing some weird behavior? And they're like, yeah, I've gotten all this spam lately. And so they go ahead and accept that external call. And this is what you're looking at here. It's obviously not the call, but this is what it looks like when you do the forensics around Teams calls. It shows up, it looks kind of like an email, but you can just see it's just giving you the timestamps of how long, when the call started and ended and who joined and left. But that helped us, that admin 3734 was the threat actor, right? And so the user's like, oh, good, somebody's reaching out. They noticed I'm having this problem in my email. Yeah, I'll talk to you. Well, and then they do the whole, let me remote in, or while we're on the phone, why don't you, I need your MFA code, right? Like I'm gonna work with you to get things reset, and you're about to get a ping. Can you give me that number? And they're like, okay, great, 73, and they put it in, and they're in. So really, really sneaky. Something else I don't have a screenshot of, but that what I've seen lately is that threat actors are logging into Teams and finding files. So all the files you share with your coworkers through Teams, the spreadsheets, the fun AI images that you make of each other, and all of that, instead of logging in directly to SharePoint, they log into Teams because it's a lot easier to find what are you currently doing. Right? Rather than digging through SharePoint and trying to find what's the most recent budget proposal in here, or what's the most recent spreadsheet with all the passwords in it. Oh, I'm gonna go in Teams, I'm gonna look at the most recent chats that this person, the compromised user, has had, I'm gonna pull those files out and download them and go. So, what do, right? We gotta use Teams. How do we protect our users? How do we protect the people who are not technical at all, or the people who are technical but are super busy and we're just trying to get stuff done? It's free. You just go to the Teams admin portal, which I've put up there, and under users, external access, by default, Teams is set to allow all external domains to contact Teams accounts within your organization. How many of you know that you've got that locked down? Oh, good, okay. So some people know, good. Most of the clients I have, wide open. Even if they haven't gotten this particular attack, it's still open because they just don't know, right? And again, we work with a lot of small businesses. They don't have the resources or the expertise to have somebody sit and fine tune their Microsoft configurations. So yeah, by default, it's wide open. Turn it off if you don't need to communicate with any other external organizations. Just turn it off. If you do, there's ways to fine-tune that. You can allow only specific external domains, so trusted partners that you collaborate with. You can block specific external domains, so if you feel like you're being targeted by a lookalike domain or anything nefarious going on, but you need to keep this mostly open, you can block those specific domains. So depending on your particular business situation, there are options. The only thing that shouldn't be an option is leaving this wide open the way it is originally configured. All right, any questions on Teams before I move on to the next? No? Okay. So SharePoint, I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the catch the fish thing. This is a legitimate email from Microsoft SharePoint with a user sharing a file with you. We do this all the time, right? This is how we all have to work. And it says reports from 1/22, and if you look at the date in the email, if you can see it, it was sent on January 22nd. So sure, I gotta look at reports, and it's in a OneNote, which is a little weird. I don't, at least personally, don't do reports in OneNote, but I don't know, maybe this user does. So, and you can see down there it says this link will work for everyone. We also see these come out where it is set, where it will only work for the recipient. So then the threat actor can actually make sure only valid people, so it can't be sandboxed, right? So if you try to put it in a sandbox and you put in John Smith at abcd.com, it won't open. So we don't get any visibility beyond, we can tell that this is bad. Oops, yeah, so, okay, I'm missing a slide. I don't know, I'm sorry. Anyway, if you click on this, it takes you to, it opens up a OneNote page that then has an additional link in it that says to view this report, click here. And so it makes you do another hop In that point, you're like, I just need to do this report. I got to go. It's lunchtime, whatever. And it takes you to that additional hop and like, oh no, you got to sign in, right? Because now you get to see the OneNote and whatever. But are you signing into Microsoft? No, you're signing into the credential harvester. So the techniques and the technology at the end point are pretty much all the same. It's the paths they use to get there. The other thing with SharePoint is, okay, now I can advance, that if you allow anonymous file access, you don't know who's downloading what from your stuff. So I can tell you, I know this from the investigation, this was a malicious IP being used, and we could tell because it was also seen creating inbox rules, and it was also creating, sending phishing emails from the compromised account. And then you see that like, it's just downloading stuff out of SharePoint, not even stuff that that particular user had access to, but things they were able to find while compromising the rest of the environment. They could go in anonymously and download all those files. So that's a big problem, right? Like if you don't know who's accessing things in your environment, it's very, very hard to have a clear understanding of where that information is going and what people could be doing with it. So similar to Teams, SharePoint is set to be in the most permissive fashion by default. Has everyone locked down their SharePoint? No? Yeah? Going to as soon as you leave? So by default, it can be shared with anyone. You can email it to a Yahoo account. You can, anyone with the link can then open that file. So if a threat actor gets in there and forwards it to a Proton account, whoever receives that email can just click on it and get into the SharePoint, download the file. And then it is also set that anyone can edit. So once they're in there, they can send that link to anyone to access that file, and then anyone can edit that file. So that is how we see those malicious files uploaded as well into to SharePoint to then share out as a phishing campaign, if that makes sense. I feel like I need a diagram. So yeah, again, it doesn't cost anything to do any of this. This is all the fun, free ways you can harden your Microsoft environment based on the shenanigans we see every day. Oh, this is it. This is out of order. So OneNote, so that we saw that OneNote being shared earlier, it led to something like this. So you can see here, it's got this request for quotation, review document here. You click on it, it takes you to the cred harvester. So I think this is super interesting because in one of my many lives, I did marketing, which is just white hat phishing, really. I mean, you're just trying to get people to click on links and give you money. And instead you're getting like a Labubu or something. In this case, you're getting compromised. I don't know. But one of the things you are trained on when you're doing marketing and advertising and things like that is you want to make it as frictionless as possible for the user. So if you ever shop somewhere that uses the Shop app and it knows it's you and it automatically fills in all your details, and because that's so easy, you're on the fence, maybe I want to buy this, maybe I don't. Oh, but my credit card's already in there. Bing, go. So what I think is so fascinating about how the threat actors do this is that there's a lot of friction on these. I've seen ones where they've had the user click on 2 or 3 links before they finally get to the cred harvester. And anytime you ask somebody to take a step, you're gonna lose somebody. So if you ask 1,000 people to fill out a survey and you mail it to them, 50% are just gonna throw it away. And then the other 50 fill it out, but 25 of them forget to do it right, or whatever. Anytime you make people do more steps, the less likely you are to get them to the end goal that you want. So that's why I think it's really funny that there's all of these steps, and at any point, we should get frustrated and be like, oh my God, why do I have to click 4 links to look at this report, right? That's ridiculous. But we're all also used to technology not always working smoothly, or are getting that goal mindset of we got to get this done. I guess I'll click another link. So, yes, you can ask a question.
I've heard that people that do phishing try to really only catch the clueless people, and so they do things intentionally to weed out, quote, the smart ones. Just to what you've seen there, possibly an example of that?
So yes and no. So there's different tactics, right? Like similar to brute forcing, there's kind of like the phishing tactic where it's like almost just a tiny step above the Nigerian prince, and the grammar's all weird, and it looks awful, and it's like, who would fall for this? And people do fall for that. But then there's spear phishing, where it is highly targeted. They've done their research on the company and the users, or they have already compromised a vendor or a client that company uses, and they phish them back. So there is a section of that just kind of low-hanging fruit, like clueless people, get grandmas and kids and people who just don't have like the understanding or the expertise to catch these things. But what we see more frequently, and again, because of the nature of being specifically in business email compromise versus like other kinds, it is a lot of targeted spear phishing, accounts payable accounts, global admins, small companies where most people, we get a lot of like under 10 user companies where everyone with a title has global admin. So like 7 people out of 10 have global admin, and they recognize, like the threat actors know in these small companies, that is kind of a normal thing for people to do because they just don't have the resources. And so like one of the big things we recommend a lot is like split out your admin account from your daily driver account and make it an unlicensed account because you can't get phished if you don't have a mailbox. So there's things like that. So it's really a big spectrum, honestly, to answer your question, of the different types of tactics and phishing emails we see. Okay, so Power BI. This one blew my mind. We have only actually caught this once. It doesn't mean that it's only ever happened once, but just from what's come across my desk, I've only seen it in the wild once. But again, legitimate looking email. It says it's got the disclaimer, right? It's from Proofpoint. If you see down at the bottom, it was secured by Proofpoint, so it's good, right? And it's a secure message, and you need to read it. And it even says, click here, then open the attachment. And it looks fairly legitimate. And then when you go to it, it takes you, it's kind of hard to see on the thing, but it actually takes you to a Power BI page, app.powerbi.com. Again, it's got another link. Let's take another step, right? How much do we care about this document? But it literally just says view document. So why are you using Power BI to link someone to just view a document? Like, again, maybe there's normal use cases for that, but not one that I'm particularly familiar with. And then when you click on that view document link, if you can see, it's really hard to see, but there's a garbage URL at the top. Credential harvesting page looks just like Microsoft sign-in page. So yeah.
I bet that they were using the Power BI thing as a Microsoft safe links bypass.
Sorry, can you say it a little louder?
I bet they were using the Power BI thing as a Microsoft safe links bypass.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it was their own hosted threat actor Power BI infrastructure, from what we could tell. It's so you don't even have to necessarily have already compromised a tenant. You just have your own Microsoft tenant that you send it from. So, and to that point, another thing we see during global admin compromise is that they add inbound connectors to the mailbox, and then they push spam from threat actor controlled servers through that inbound connector, which then any email going out from that has a Microsoft IP. So similar, yes, like what you were saying. Okay, and then, so what's next? What do we think is going to be abused next? Any guesses, number one? Copilot, right? Oh my gosh, AI is such an amazing tool for criminals. We already see third-party enterprise apps being leveraged, like Read AI and things like that. The threat actors are adding them in. and how quick, like it's so great because you can just summarize what's in the inbox. You can ask it questions like, who do I have outstanding invoices with, or whatever, rather than reading through all the emails and subjects and trying to figure out like where the low-hanging fruit is. Just query it through AI and get it to pull it up. So I'm just waiting. I feel like within 6 months I'm going to have a case where Copilot has been used maliciously by a threat actor. Whether or not an account has access to the level of Copilot that they would need to actually be able to query anything other than just like search the web with it, to actually search the tenant, that's a licensing thing and a permissions thing. But I think as we see it more widely used, especially now that you can't turn it off, and it's always on, everything you open now is like, would you like to paste this with Copilot? I'm like, no, I just want to paste without formatting. Like, yeah.
So since Copilot's kind of new, does Microsoft have good logging for it, or someone in forensics to actually look after the fact?
Brian, it's like we work together and you're planted in the audience to ask me questions. The logging is not great yet, and knowing where to look in the logging from a forensic standpoint is definitely something that's evolving and we're working on. As we predict these threats coming, we start looking at those particular parts of the unified audit log, saying like, what can we get from this? And if we can't get very much information, how do we communicate that to legal and our clients in a way that's understandable? The other thing we've seen recently leveraged by threat actors is Viva Insights. Does anybody use that? Do y'all know what that is? I'm sorry?
Isn't that going away in like 2 years?
It's got, I don't know, it's like evolving, I think. But we had a case recently where the threat actor logged in through the Viva Insights portal and then can see whether or not emails or documents they sent out to the victims had been opened or read. And so they can like have a sense like, did it work? Are they falling for it? Do I need to move on? Do I need to try again? It gives them better intel to continue to victimize people. And so, and there's all kinds of random stuff in Microsoft that, like Loop. Sometimes I work with people who use Microsoft Loop or the AI note-taking capability within Teams. When you get into a Teams chat, you can now ask it to summarize the chat if you're added in later. That's a great tool for a threat actor. Who has time to scroll back from days of memes and shenanigans to find the meat? Just have AI summarize it because it's pretty good about cutting out the jokes. So yeah, that's where I think like if I get to come back in a year or two, that's probably what's going to be in the talk. And then in general, tools I like as an investigator, Sublime Security, their email analyzer is really great. It gives you good information quickly. The only downside is your email has to be a .eml file and not a .msg. But I like them a lot, and they have a really interesting product to protect against phishing emails. To sandbox things, if you don't have a subscription to like AnyRun or Intezer, anything like that, Cloudflare has got a good scanner. You can just pop in that link, it'll run it and see if it's malicious or not. Same thing with urlscan.io. That one can be a little slower. And then for IP lookups, we use a lot of Scamalytics and Abuse IPDB. There's also Alien Vault and Polarity, and there's some other ones, but this is all like my bread and butter stuff as I'm working through cases. So, and then general tips and takeaways. Proper configuration of your environment, right? I actually have a beauty pageant sash that says misconfiguration, and I was gonna wear it as like a Halloween costume, but I just didn't feel that sparkly this morning when I woke up, and I was like, I don't know if that's gonna play. I'm just not gonna leave it. But seriously, going back through and hardening each of those apps, making sure they're not set to the most wide open permissions, making sure your unified audit log is turned on. That's in the Purview portal. It's free. If your tenant was created prior to like late 2022, it's off by default. But if it's off and you get compromised, there's not a whole lot we're gonna be able to tell you. It's the main logging repository for the forensics we do. And then user training, like The emails you get, I mean, we have to do it too, and every time our team, actually got caught by a security training email because it looked weird. So I grabbed the link, I copied the link out of it, and I threw it in a sandbox and ran it. And it counted as a click, and it went back to our security awareness provider. It's like, oh, Alexis Watters clicked on the phishing link. You know, she's just the queen of BEC over here, but, you know, she's so stupid. And I was like, no. I immediately like screenshotted it and sent to my boss, and I was like, hey, if anyone on our team doesn't get counted as a click for sandboxing this, that's the problem. We're a separate use case. But seriously, talking, you know, the programs, the security awareness training programs, the videos, all of that is great, but also talking to each other, like, be like, hey, you know what, I got a really weird email. Did you get that weird email too? Hey, I heard that our vendor might have sent out some phishing emails. Do you work with them? And so that like water cooler talk or the Teams chat talk of like that awareness that of things that are maybe specifically targeting your organization is just as important as watching the little cute cartoons about the ninja who dodges the email or whatever they are. I used to write those things. So also cultivate a culture of confession. And so what I mean by that is when you blame and shame people for making mistakes, they're not going to tell you when they make a mistake. And then you have a compromise that may go for months and then spreads to other users or trusted partners who are then angry at you because they got compromised from an email that came from you. Or you say, hey, if you click on something that's weird or something doesn't seem right, please let us know as soon as possible. And you say, thank you so much for letting us know. Wow, you really got. But we found out within hours or days rather than months after we've lost $1 million, after our clients are calling us saying we don't want to do business with you anymore because we've been paying you for months and now you're saying you're not getting our payments and you're coming after us. Well, they got their payments misdirected to the fraudulent account by someone impersonating your company. So just like MFA is no longer like a silver bullet for protection, having the right culture in your company is just as an important layer of defense as all of the technical defenses you can put in place. And so thank people, right? Thank people for saying, oh, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. You know what? You did click a bad thing. Let's talk about how you might have caught that, so if it happens again, it's a learning experience. Just like if you're a parent or if you're working with children and they make a mistake and you're like, you're such an idiot, how did you do that? Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Your kid is gonna break down and be scared and never want to come to you with a problem again. So not saying that our colleagues, our users, are children, but we all at heart want to be treated in a way that we feel safe. And that's why I'm talking about that culture of confession. So I think that's it. I don't know how much time I have left. I got lots of time? Okay, I talked fast. So any questions or comments, concerns? Brian, did you use up all your stuff? So Brian works on the proactive side of the house, and I'm on the reactive side, so yeah. Right.
Thank you for being a speaker. I'll present you with a challenge coin.
Neat.
Reward.
Thank you.